All right, so we're gonna brush our surface with flour, and let me just grab my rolling pin. And what I usually do when I start out, now this one is not wet at all, is I roll my rolling pin in my flour so that there's some on it. And you want a pretty nice chunk. You're gonna flatten it out with your hands, and I push it down. Then I can feel if it's gonna be a little bit dry, if it needs more water. It feels okay, we'll see. It could crack around the edges pretty easy. It's a little bit dry. Now I'm gonna roll it, and you wanna roll from the center out. You know, I've never used this rolling pin before, and I'm not really loving it. It's from a national TV thing, and my sister got it for me. I say no to the rolling pin. Let me go get one that I like. All right, so now I'm gonna roll this one in flour. Oh, look at that. Total difference. Good old-fashioned $5 rolling pin. So you want to make it as wide as your pie pan, and you want it fairly thin. And the good thing about double crust pies is if you make a mistake, it doesn't really matter because nobody's going to see it on the bottom. So I just roll away. Then when you get it wide enough, and you can just kind of set your pan on top, and I like to have a lot of extra for my fluting, and what fluting is the decorative edge around your pie crust. Some people take their rolling pin and they roll their crust up. I like to put it in fourths. So I take like a pancake turner, loosen it underneath, fold it, and like I said before, if it cracks, it's not the end of the world. Now I'm going to fold it in the fourths, put the center into the pie pan, roll it back out, make sure we have a little bit of extra crust everywhere, and you can do patching because it's the bottom. So even though it's a bigger surface than the top, I always take a little more dough when I do the top than the bottom, because we don't care what it looks like. Okay, now for the apples, I do something a little bit different just because that's who I am. I have already chopped up a whole bunch of apples, but I wanted to show you really quick about apple cutting. And the easiest way to do this, you can buy slicers, but if you just go around the core all the way around, notice these have a little bit of worm on it. You just cut that off when you're making pie, it doesn't matter. Then when you do your paring knife, you're going to use your thumb and push your knife gently towards you. It's one of the only times I'd say you should push the knife towards you. I've got enough apples here, so I'm not going to continue this. What I have here is 1/2 cup of sugar. Most recipes say a cup of sugar, but I'm going to do a 1/2 cup because I want to add my brown sugar with it, which gives it a little bit more of a caramely flavor. Before I did these apples, they're a little bit brown, but I put some lemon juice on it to prevent it from being really brown. If you notice I packed my brown sugar. You always pack brown sugar. If you are doing your apple pie right away, you don't need lemon juice on it. But if you have apples that are not very tart, you might want that lemon juice just because you need that tartness. So the purpose, of course, of the sugar is to give that a sweet flavor. And then we also add a little bit of cinnamon, about a teaspoon, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. It's all mixed in here. And I also have 2 tablespoons of butter or flour. And the purpose of the flour is to just be a starch and a thickening agent so that you don't have real runny apples after you're baking it. Then when you're done with that, and it doesn't matter if it's really mixed well, you just pour your apple mixture in. So you want it to be a little bit full because your apples are going to shrink down when they bake. And you can just grab your rubber scraper too and clean that out. I have a lot of apples here. That's okay. I used to hate cooked apples when I was a kid. Now I love them. Too bad, right? Okay, so after you get all that finished, you're just going to take another ball of crust and you're going to roll it out. And I'll be back in just a second to do that.